true tribute to Bob cannot be made without a little poetry about his accolades. If you knew Uncle Bob as well as I, you probably have your own great poems to cherish from the guy. His words don't necessarily have to rhyme, but they must come close and sound sublime. A pioneer for Israel, the Leo Beck School, to us and his family, Uncle Bob was Mr. Cool. We all know his greatness spread far and wide. He touched many lives with Annette by his side. Muslims, Druze, and Ethiopian Jews, Bob helped thousands, filling many shoes. Look high and low, history rewind, a truer mensch you will never find. While I wish I had the talent to continue to memorialize in this way, I must concede I don't have his rhyming skills, I must say. So, let me change gears a bit. Bob Samuels lived an incredible life. For those of us lucky enough to know him as Uncle Bob, he was the rock of the Israeli wing of the Samuels clan, and since our grandparents passed away in the early 90s, has been the elder statesman in our large extended family. Always focused on family, full of humor, life, and love. Father to 3, grandfather to 9, husband and partner to Annette. He was the funny, vivacious uncle who opened up his world of Israel, of baseball, and of family, meticulously researching our family's 8-generation history here in Texas. With a twinkle in his eye, he would share jokes, golf stories, or simply talk about the goings-on of life. Often talking deep into the night, Bob was sometimes known to fall asleep mid-sentence in a conversation. Despite living half a world away in Israel, I've always felt incredibly connected to Uncle Bob, as I know hundreds of people do. To know Bob is to love him. I was fortunate enough to have my bar mitzvah year coincide with his year sabbatical that Bob spent here in Houston in the early 80s. While my peers predominantly simply memorized their Torah portion, Bob took it upon himself to help me study it letter by letter, word by word, and made it a much more meaningful experience for me. He walked the walk of Jewish values his entire life. When Bob and Annette moved to Israel in 1962, they were absolute pioneers. He loved Israel for all that it is, for all that it can be. He was vocal about Israel's flaws because he was passionate about making Israel into the embodiment of the values that drew them there in the late 50s and early 60s. He was so proud of what Israel developed into, and at the same time so disappointed when he saw Israel stray from its values. Bob constantly fought for the rights of conservatives and progressive Jews and spoke out for the rights of minorities. Bob's life embodied the teaching of his parents that Judaism is not just a religion, but a call to make the world better for all. My brothers and I each had the fortune of spending a summer after our bar mitzvah year in Israel with Bob and Annette, which was a truly magical summer. One story Ben shared from his bar mitzvah summer in the early 80s was while riding from the airport to their house in Haifa